Welcome, parents. I don't want to waste any time, so let's hop right into this. Who is this video for? This is for anyone who is the parent or guardian of a teen or a preteen, has a kid who has a phone or connection to the internet, has a child that eventually has a plan to get a phone or be on the internet at any point in their life, and last but not least is looking for a way to give their child the best chance they possibly can to succeed in a modern world. What will you get out of this video? I'm going to break down the reality and the impact of smartphones and social media on the developing teen brain, and I'm going to give you a game plan for success for your teenager. Real quick, who am I? My name is Jesse LeBeau. I've spent the last 10 years touring around the country, doing live motivational talks in schools and youth organizations. I've had the great privilege to speak to over 1 million kids live from stage. We've helped over 250,000 kids with our different programs. We work with parents, teachers, teens, and we have just seen over the course of the last decade so many changes when it comes to kids and their mental health, their confidence and self-esteem. So that's why we're here today in this video, to shed some light from the things that we've seen and the research that we've dove into of how to best help you move forward and keep your sanity and also have your kid not be depressed, anxious, self-harming, and all of the negative things that are going on with kids today. So, why this video, you may be wondering? Like I said, I've talked to thousands of parents and I keep hearing the same thing over and over again. There's an issue with mental health. Mental health, mental health, mental health. When I go and I speak, I just did one of these the other day, and there was about 15 different schools all in one venue. And I had the kids hold up their phones, and every single one of them had a smartphone. And I said, let's look in your settings and see how much time you're actually spending on your phone every single day. And I'll tell you what, the results were absolutely disgusting. They would make you sick to your stomach. There were some kids that were over 20 hours in a day. I don't even know how that's possible without having your phone playing while you're asleep, YouTube videos or something like that. So I want to real quick talk about the sad reality of teens and mental health today. Using social media is not the problem. Abusing social media is the problem. And I would argue no adult, let alone kid, has the willpower to resist the addictive designs of this modern technology. Now prepare for this 60-second public service announcement. Think this is just a smartphone? Think again. Imagine holding a $3 trillion weapon. Yeah, you heard that right. A weapon that's not aimed outwards, but straight at your very own brain. If you're seeing this, it's because your deepest needs and desires are being hijacked. By who? Social media giants, turning every click, every scroll into seconds and minutes of your life they claim as their own. It's like there's a war for your attention and you don't even know you're in a battle. The gist of it is simple. Your time, your attention, it's being harvested, and no one's riding in on a white horse to save you. But here's the thing. It's not all doom and gloom. We've all got the same 24 hours. And yeah, we got stuff we need to do, human stuff. But those precious moments we have left, they're ours, pure gold. That's where we can grab the steering wheel of our lives and make memories that are truly ours. So ask yourself, how much of you does the beast get? It's time to reclaim your life. But it won't just happen. You've got to stand up and fight for it. Now do yourself a favor, step away from your phone, and let's start living life for real. And we're back. Kids today are an experiment to see what happens when you put a smartphone into every kid's hand. Think back in the day like it was with cigarettes. Now, I'm not here to use some scare tactics. You and I both know that kids' relationships to their phone and social media is having a profoundly negative impact on their lives. We could literally talk about the research and data for the next hour, but I'm about solutions and what we need to do now. So I'm just going to keep this really brief. I want to quickly legitimize this with a few hard facts. Number one is the year the smartphone dropped was the highest levels of anxiety, depression, and loneliness among young people ever recorded in human history. And it's only gotten worse and worse. Suicides are up by 50% in American teens. The average teenager in the United States spends over 7 hours and 22 minutes a day on their phone. And that's not for work and homework assignments. That's legitimately just free time, spending it aimlessly for almost 8 hours. The average person checks their phone 352 times a day. Let me ask you this. Do you think that is a good thing or a bad thing? I'll let you decide for yourself. It's estimated that 210 million people worldwide are addicted to social media. More than half of all drivers admit to checking social media behind the wheel. Overuse of social media in children and teens can literally rewire their brains. Roughly 42% of teens admit that social media keeps them from connecting with friends in person. In a recent survey, 70% of teens said they feel left out or excluded because of social media. Suicide rates among teens have increased 50% in the age of social media, and social media is more addictive than alcohol and cigarettes. This is horrible, and you know this, and that's why you're here. And I'll tell you this, I've personally talked to thousands of parents, teens, and educators about this, and the impact the smartphones are having is quite literally ruining kids' lives. A colleague of mine said that in the future, he predicts that phones and social media will come with a Surgeon General warning, just like cigarettes do today. And what I've seen in my own experience thus far, I couldn't agree more. So let's move on. In my humble opinion, your time and your attention is your most valuable resource today. As the powerful Tony Robbins once said, where your focus goes, energy flows. Sadly, most kids today are wasting ungodly amounts of time watching an endless scroll. The amount of time that we talked about earlier of almost 8 hours a day is the equivalent of a full-time job. You don't even have to do the math to know that most kids today are completely just wasting their life. They could be doing literally anything else and be better off, whether it's making friends, learning how to speak a new language, playing a sport or an instrument, building meaningful relationships. Anything is better than being a zoned out zombie. It's so sad because kids today don't stand a chance against this technology unless they have some guidance from an adult who knows better and can help them. Let me really break this down for you. Ladies and gentlemen, hold tight for PSA number 2. Hold up, let me hit you with something real quick. You've got your phone in your hand, right? Ever wonder if it's more than just a phone? Imagine all the things you could achieve, all the dreams you could chase, if only you'd pause the endless scroll. Got you thinking, huh? So I came across this TED Talk the other day, and the speaker hit me with a truth bomb that I just have to share with you. Imagine you're 18, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. These dots? They're the months you've got left if the universe plays nice. But strip away the hours lost to sleep, school, and work, mealtime, commutes, chores, and yes, even bathroom breaks. You're left with 334 precious months of freedom. That's where you've got to make your mark, to truly live. Yet, here's the kicker. The average 18-year-old is going to spend 93% of their waking life glued to a screen. Crazy, right? Take a good look in the mirror. What do you see? A digital junkie craving the next swipe, the next like. But hey, this isn't just about pointing fingers. This is about waking up, standing up, and flipping the script on how we live our lives online and offline. This year, it's all about creating more than you consume. It's about intentional scrolling, purposeful living, because every moment, every click, it's your life we're talking about. Let's not waste it. Let's make it count. Together, we can do this. Okay, so I need to say this before we go any further. All the things that we're going to talk about in this video are easier said than done. I get that, and I just want to make sure you know that it's easy to talk about these things, but it is harder to put them into practice. But no matter what you choose to do, this is going to be hard. Being a parent is hard, especially in today's world where there's new things being thrown at you in record speed that you have to try to keep up with. But keep in mind, it's also hard to be a teen today. Life is hard, being a person is hard, and no matter what you decide to do or not to do with your kid's phone is going to be hard. You have to choose your hard, or as I'd like to say it better, you get to choose your hard. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Your kid is not going to want to have to follow the rules and systems when it comes to their phone. But as a parent, you have to do things that your kids don't agree with. That's why you are the adult and they're the kid. Let's think back real quick to when your kid was little. Did they want to stay up all night, eat candy, do whatever it is they wanted to do? Probably the answer is yes. But did you let them do all of those things? No, because that would be insane and you're an adult and you know better. It's no different with this. And remember, it's a kid's job to push the boundaries and break the rules. These things are hard to do that we're going to talk about, but so is the alternative. And I'll argue till I'm red in the face that the alternative is a lot harder and a lot worse. I spent a couple of years doing about 10 to 15 calls a day with parents, mostly moms, listening to all the issues that their kids were struggling with. As hard as it is to set up systems and rules to navigate your teenager's relationship with their phone, the alternative is much worse. Eating disorders, self-harm, self-deletion, anxiety, depression, being numbed out on medication, being absolutely lonely and having no friends. All of these things are so much harder than implementing rules and having to be the adult and the person who puts their foot down and says, no, I'm doing these rules with you because I love you. Let me tell you a story I once heard. There was a kid in high school, and he was a big kid, and he was a football player and a tough kid. And he invited one of his teammates, one of his friends, over to the house. And this kid was the toughest son of a gun in the entire school. He was not someone that you would want to mess with and get on their bad side. And the two of them decided that they wanted to go to a concert that was happening that night in town. And when the first kid told his parents that they were going to go do that, the mom put her foot down and she said, nope, you're not doing that. That is not safe, and I'm not allowing you guys to do that. The son who asked his mom that was bummed out and disappointed, but he noticed his friend, who was the tough guy, started to act kind of weird. And they got out of the house, and he asked them, when they were away from the parents, he said, what's going on, man? Are you okay? And the kid started tearing up, and he said, I wish my mom and dad cared about me enough to tell me no, I couldn't do something because it wasn't safe. Not allowing your kids to do things that are going to harm them is a way that you show them that you love them. And I'll just tell you this, every kid is one bad decision away from becoming a statistic. I hope you'll give your child the very best shot you can to be happy, successful, and fulfilled in their life. And they can't do that glued to a screen. I can promise you that. Now, one of the biggest obstacles you as a parent will face today when it comes to this phone issue is you're going to hear your kids say this back to you. But everyone else is doing it. And they aren't wrong. According to the statistics, they're probably right. Almost everyone else is doing it. And almost everyone else is stressed, anxious, unhappy, self-harming, and all of the worst things that you don't want for your kid. And this mindset just is so funny and blows my mind, because if your kid said this about any other thing, you would tell them, I don't care what everyone else is doing. That's not what we do in this house. If everyone else was jumping off bridges, doing drugs, doing alcohol, robbing banks, joining gangs, you would be like, cool, everyone else can do those things, but you, in my house, are not allowed to do that. And this is you being a leader in your own home and setting up your kid to not be a follower, but be a leader. And here's something for you to consider. Do you want your kid to be a leader, or do you want them to be a follower? Giving a child a phone without supervision and a system to help guide them is insane. Plain and simple. Let me give you an example I saw in a documentary on this one time. Imagine taking your son or daughter into a living room into your house. And in that living room is a table. And on that table, you've placed 3 magazines. The first magazine is a Sports Illustrated magazine. The second is Time magazine. And the third magazine is a Playboy. Now, go out of the living room, leave the house, and let your kid decide which magazine they want to look at. Which one do you think they're going to choose? This is what it's like giving your kid a phone without any supervision. The internet is literally littered with billions and billions of hours of adult content. So you have to put a system in place to protect them. No human alive has the discipline to resist the dopamine hit and addictive nature of social media and the internet. And I want you to remember something else. And this is so huge. This whole thing, everything that we're talking about here in this video, it starts with you. Your kids, especially during the teen years, they are watching you a lot more than they're listening to you. And they are modeling and mirroring just about everything that you do, whether you realize it or not. You have to communicate with love to them, model exactly the type of actions that you want them to have when it comes to their phone is exactly the relationship that you need to have with your own phone. And remember, your job isn't to prepare the road ahead of them for your child. It's to prepare your child for the road ahead. All right, with no further ado, I want to share with you some strong recommendations for what the systems should be for your child around their phone. I don't want to claim that this is perfect in any way, shape, or form, but I do know without a shadow of a doubt, if you incorporate the following things into your strategy, you will help protect your child's innocence, improve their mental health, and increase their overall happiness. I haven't met a parent alive today who doesn't want all of those things for their kid. But are you willing to choose the hard on the front end to avoid the harder stuff on the back end? First up, I want to share with you right from one of the top social psychologists, Jonathan Haidt's new book based on the most up-to-date research on this topic. You can check him out. He's been all over the news media, and he is one of the leading voices in this space. Here are the 4 things he recommends. 1, no smartphones before high school. Yes, no smartphones before high school. It doesn't matter what everyone else is doing at school or in your neighborhood. The top guy in this space says they should not have a smartphone before high school. Number 2, no social media before age 16. Yes, once again, everyone else is going to be doing it. You are not going to be like everyone else, and that's why your life is going to be better. Number 3, phone-free schools. Now, as someone who goes and speaks at schools all the time, I know that this is about 50-50. Some schools allow them to have phones, some don't, but I am highly encouraging you to support phone-free schools. And number 4, more free play and responsibility in the real physical world. If you want to dive deeper into Jonathan Haidt's thoughts on this topic, I highly recommend you check out his book, The Anxious Generation. I will put the link for that book below this video. Okay, so this is a great start, but there is so much more to this, and I want to go deeper to give you as many of the tools and resources as I possibly can in this video. Practically every week, good kids from solid families that we work with find out their teenager is getting contacted by some creepy adult who is pretending to be someone else and is wanting to take advantage of them. And it's happening right inside your home, and you have no idea. This is scary stuff. I don't want to scare you, but it's important that you know the reality of what's happening in the world today. In addition to what we just talked about, here's my highest recommendations for you if you want your kid to have the very best shot at not becoming another statistic and a phone zombie who wastes their whole life on the infinite scroll. Here's the exact steps I strongly urge you to take with your teen or teens that you care about to help them. The very first thing you should do is watch The Social Dilemma on Netflix. And then once you watch that, I want you to have a family discussion afterwards. Because here is the reality. You could have all these rules and you could put all these systems in place, but you need to get your kid on board. And I haven't met a kid in all my time doing this that willingly just wants to give up this thing that is so captivating, that is so addictive, and that all of their friends are doing. The big thing that is driving a lot of this is the fear of missing out. They don't want everyone else their age to be talking about things and they don't know what's going on. So in order to do that, you need to have them see documentaries like The Social Dilemma on Netflix so that they can start to understand how this works, how they are being used as the product, and how their attention is being completely hijacked by the smartest people on the planet, and how they're making a ton of money off them. I know for me personally, when I saw in that documentary, it showed the algorithm as represented by 2 real people, and it showed them going like, hey, let's send this person pictures of their ex-girlfriend so that they'll spend more time on Facebook. It flipped a switch for me. I saw how evil that was, and it made me want to get off there as quickly as I possibly can. The second documentary that I want you guys to watch is called Social Media Dangers Documentary, Childhood 2.0. And this just shows another perspective of how dangerous these things are. And again, we want your kid to see this so they start to figure it out for themselves. Because the truth is, once they hit 18, they don't have to listen to you anymore, and then they can make the decisions that they want going out into the real world. So if you're just forcing them to do this, it's going to have not as powerful as an impact as it could if you're getting them to buy in, if you're getting them to realize, look, I guess that when I go and I spend all this time, I am not spending my time management well, and I'm wasting time that I could use to get really good at something, to help me get into a better college, to help me be more fulfilled, to have better friends, to be just more happy, to serve other people and do things bigger than myself, to not be a total narcissist like everyone who's posting selfies, 10 times a day. These are the types of realizations we want you to have with your teen or teenagers so that they're going to figure this out on their own. And that's a huge piece of the puzzle. And I'm telling you, this is quite literally the biggest competitive advantage they can implement into their life. While everyone else their age is wasting over 7-8 hours a day scrolling and feeling bad about themselves, they can use that time to become great at something. The opportunity to thrive has never been more available. And if you can figure out this time management and putting in these systems that will only allow you to be on there for so long, your life and their life is going to be so much better. The next thing you should do is come up with a contract. And I'll put a sample contract below this video somewhere on this page so that you can actually look at this and go through it as a family. And this is going to outline the things that you need to do. What does your son or daughter need to do to earn their phone every single day? Having a phone is like driving a car. It's a privilege, not a right. And I'm guessing your kid probably doesn't pay the bill, so you have the power and the upper hand in this, and there's things that they need to do each day in order for them to be able to have that phone. And if they don't do it, they're going to lose their phone. And we're going to break down on this contract how much time they get a day to be on there, what they can and can't do on their phone, and we're going to make it absolutely 100% clear. You're going to talk it through together. Remember, communication is key. That way there isn't any unexpected surprises. Next up, and I've been harping on this one, is you have to set up systems. This is an absolute must. Without systems, none of us stand a chance. So let me kind of give you guys a few things to consider when it comes to setting up your own systems. You need to set up a daily time limit. How long is your son or daughter going to be able to go on social media and do all the other things they want to do on their phone? My recommendation is 90 minutes a day. And to be honest, it should probably be lower. I'm trying to be generous here, but that's a decision that you have to make for you and your own family. You should set up a system of what time the phone will be on and off during the day and during the night. Rules like no phone in the room. They should have a basket where they leave it in the kitchen. Nothing good happens on the phone at night. This is something that keeps kids up so late, scrolling, talking, doing things they shouldn't be doing. And one of the biggest things that helps a teen is getting a good night's sleep. So this is adding to all of the mental health issues that kids are struggling with because they aren't getting a good night's sleep. You cannot get a good night's sleep when your phone is in the room. If you're saying that you're using it as your alarm, get an old school alarm, use an Alexa. There's a dozen different ways that you can do it without having your phone in the room. Next up, no phone at dinner time. Phone in the basket again, and actually connect as a family, have conversations. This is one of the most meaningful times of the day that your family can come together, share what's happening and going on in your days. And again, you being off your phone as an adult is one of the most important things that you can model and mirror to your child. Apps, this is what you're going to have to figure out for yourself. There's YouTube, there's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's Be Real. My biggest recommendation for you is no Snapchat. To quote one of my colleagues, Snapchat is the devil. How it's set up is that all the messages disappear. So this is where all the inappropriate pictures are being sent. This is where kids are going to talk about drugs and where to get them. There is nothing good going on Snapchat. And your kids may say, but everyone's on there and I like the filters. Too bad. They're not in control and their developing teen brain is not making the right decision. Now, one thing I would set up just to help you is you can set up a second account. For instance, if you want your teen at 16 to have an Instagram account, have it connected to your account. That way you see every message that comes in and out. You see every follower that comes along and tries to contact them. And I'm telling you, this is going to dissuade them from one, even wanting to be on there, and two, from bad things happening. And I can tell you firsthand, story after story of parents seeing what's going on, looking into who's the person actually contacting them, and it's some creepy adult who is trying to groom them and pretending to be someone who they are not. So this is absolutely essential, but these are things that you will have to decide on your own how much time you're going to allow and which apps you're going to allow them to be on. Again, my recommendation following Jonathan Haidt is wait until 16 for social media and don't have Snapchat and don't have over 90 minutes for all of the apps total in any 24-hour time period. Next up, you need to decide how you're going to monitor their activity. Remember, I said this before, I'll say it again. Having a phone is a privilege, not a right. I'm providing some links below this video that will help you do that. Since all of the phones are being updated constantly, it's always changing, so it's best to go directly to Apple or whatever other phone carrier you're using so that you can control the settings on whatever device you're working with. So we'll have those links below, and that's the way that you can go and set this up and put those time limits that can restrict them from going on at certain times of day, and all of the other things. You know, for me, at 9 o'clock, the phone should be a brick. There's no need to communicate. There's no need to be social media. It's time to wind down and get a good night's sleep. And this is going to help improve everyone's life accordingly. Some of the most impressive families and kids that I have met in my career are families that have things that their teens need to do before they even get to have phone time or screen time on the iPad. Whether it's chores or, in one case, the kids in this particular family had to read 20 pages a day in order to get their phone. And I'm telling you, when you met and talked to these kids, they were confident, they looked you in the eye, they shook your hand. They were some of the most impressive kids that I have met in my 10 years of working with families and kids. And I'm telling you, it is a thing of pride. We just had this conversation with my nephew the other day, and the big thing that really got through to him that he had positive feedback was when I said, look, our last name is LeBeau. You are a LeBeau. We live our lives to a higher standard. We're in this world, but not of this world. And just because all these other people are doing these other things, you're a LeBeau and you're held to a higher standard because we expect more out of you. And to be honest, he thought that was really cool and he wants to rise to the occasion. So these are the type of open conversations and dialogues you need to start having. And trust me, it's better done sooner than later. So if your kid's already has the phone, he already has 24 access to it, it can do whatever he wants, it's gonna be a lot harder to get him off it because you've already let Pandora out of the box. But again, choose your hard. Do you want to keep this going? You're here probably for a reason. You're seeing some real negative effects from that. Whether it's not connecting with other kids, just being rude and disrespectful, feeling lonely, anxiety, stress, depression, all those different things. Choose your hard. Take control back of the phone. Be a parent that takes 100% responsibility for the well-being of your family and the well-being of your kids. Another great thing you can do is download an app called Opal. Opal literally locks you out of social media apps when you hit a certain time limit. So if you're ever having a hard time doing it with the phone carrier, with Apple, whoever, you can always use an app like Opal that will lock you out and tracks everything in a really fun way. And I've found that when you do this with kids, when you do it together as a team and you share your guys' results, and you see, hey, who can be on it the least amount, and you make it a fun game, and you actually have rewards for not being on your phone, that is a huge incentive that will help you get your kids on board with this as well. And the last thing I want to shout out is a gentleman who is a friend of mine, and he has a site called Protect Young Eyes. You can find him on Facebook, and he has all of the latest up-to-date cutting edge when it comes to what's going on with Instagram, what's going on with Facebook, what's happening with legislation, what's going on with the state laws in our country and beyond. I did an awesome interview with him. I will link that below as well. But follow him, make him a part of your world because he is always on the most up-to-date trends and can give feedback so you as a parent can stay on top of this for your kids. So let me end by saying this. If you choose to put into practice the things outlined in this video, your kid will be better off. There is no doubt about it. That doesn't mean that they still won't make mistakes, but you'll be giving them a fighting chance. This should be an exciting time. Getting the first smartphone for your kid is an exciting time, and it's awesome that they're going to have a phone and all of the cool things that come with it. But you wouldn't hand your kid the keys to a new car if they didn't get their permit and their license and follow some basic rules to keep them and everyone else safe. And it's the same thing with the phone. You need parameters around your kid's phone usage. It's your job as their parent not to be their friend and let them do what all the other parents are letting them do. Your job is to guide them and show them that you love them by protecting them from the things they don't understand because they have a developing teen brain. And even though they think they have it all figured out, they do not. I can promise you that. I hope you got a ton of value out of this video. And if you'd like to schedule a call to learn about how we can help you or your teenager, you can do so by clicking somewhere on this page. We'd love to chat with you about what's going on with your teen, to find out a little bit more about what you're concerned about with them, and help you come up with a game plan to help them be more confident, resilient, and happy in their life. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.